next guest is the creator of Let's Move, a campaign to end childhood obesity. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the First Lady of the United States, Michelle Obama.
Yeah, you better stand your ass. Stand your asses up. Stand your asses up.
Very nice to have you back in the program.
Good to be back. You're looking healthy.
Yeah, I feel pretty good, all things considered.
Very good.
How was your summer? I want to know specifically what the kids did for the summer.
This was the first summer that both kids were at sleepaway camp for 4 weeks. So that was a little powerful.
Take me through the decision to make that move.
Well, Malia went to the camp for the last couple of years because she had friends that went, and this was the first year that Sasha decided that I was ready for her to be gone.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Sasha is 11 or so?
She's 11.
Yeah.
She said she didn't go before because she didn't think I could handle having both away.
Yeah.
So she felt I was ready, and...
Now, does this need to be approved by the Senate? Or you're able to do this? Now, I couldn't do this. I couldn't let my kids go to camp.
Yeah, I didn't think I could, and I probably wouldn't have, but they have Secret Service. And, no, I mean, I'm serious. I don't think I would do it, and I actually told Malia this, because when she gets into that, I've got Secret Service, how am I going to handle this? What if I have to go on a date? When she starts bemoaning the service, I remind her there are plenty of things she gets to do because she has service, like going to camp for 4 weeks.
Now, was there any tinge of homesickness?
Sasha said no.
That's good.
Does that no?
What about your husband? How did he handle this?
He did okay, but both around 2 weeks in, we were kind of done with it. We wanted him back, but it was too late.
But, now, my childhood was not like that. Camp was not an option for me. What was your summer like as a child?
Rainbow Day Camp Beach. It was one of those city parks. You got the camp t-shirt, the white t-shirt with the green writing. And you'd go there and you'd swim in the lake and you'd do sports activities and you'd get to go on a field trip every now and then there was a big parade of all the parks.
Well, that's pretty good. Now, but that wasn't a sleepaway kind of a deal,
was it? No. There was no sleeping away.
Yeah. And now, when I was a kid, and I mentioned this before, and I was perfectly happy, I spent all day out in the yard playing with my father took a stick and made a real sharp, pointy end on it.
And that you could just poke your eye with.
That's right. Yeah. And I couldn't have been happier out in the front yard. Now, was that like you and your brother?
Absolutely. I mean, we didn't have fancy programs. You just went outside and you played all day. And, we played piggy. We had this great game that we made up that was called Chase. Pretty simple. The girls chased the boys, and then the boys chased the girls, and we could play that for, like, the entire day.
Yeah.
I mean, literally.
Is that a variation of tag, a less advanced form of tag?
It's a little advanced. I mean, there was a base. First you'd hide, so it was like a modified hide and seek.
Yeah.
And you'd hide, you try to be hidden and it was all throughout the neighborhood, right? So you were trying not to be found, but if you were found, if you could get to base before you got tagged, you were safe.
Now, it's, we talk to people
sophisticated
all the time about, in the old days, in our childhood, just let kids run all day. Are there still neighborhoods in this country where you can do that, do you think?
I think there are, but there are plenty of neighborhoods where parents don't feel safe to have that happen. Playgrounds, parks, or not in every community they don't have those resources, but I do know that there are still neighborhoods out there where kids can go out and play.
Now, here's what I've noticed. I was talking to a guy named Larry or Bob or somebody about this. Trying to lose weight, and what I've learned about losing weight is they make it harder for you to eat well in this culture. It's easier to eat bad food, but you have taken some of that, a large majority of that, away from kids. They now have the opportunity to eat well at school.
Well, at school, we passed legislation last year that's being implemented in the school year this fall, where they're really changing the standards for the first time in 15 years. 15 years. And this is the first time in 30 years where they're getting increased funding to support those changes. So parents who have kids in public schools, they're going to see lunches with better portion sizes, more whole wheat grains, more fruits and vegetables, and low-fat dairy products.
Well, what was the menu? What did it tend to be 15 years ago? Was it, or 415? Was it mostly just slop and gruel and potatoes? And
you know, in all fairness, we've got school lunch chefs. We call them chefs now because they play a big role, but there are lunch ladies who have been doing a tremendous job for years with little to no resources or support. But an example of some of the changes: slice of pizza. Pizza's still a good thing, but now the schools are serving it on a whole wheat crust, and it's going to be accompanied with something like, you know, strips of green peppers or carrots, and fruit. Simple changes. So if you have pasta, you might have had pasta in your regular school, but you'll probably get whole wheat pasta with turkey meat or something.
How is it being received by the kids?
You know, the truth is, and we did the very first kids' steak dinner last week, which was actually a lunch.
What a tremendous idea.
Yeah.
Kids from area schools, from all over.
There was a competition, over 1,200 recipes were submitted, and a kid from every state was selected to come and attend, and we set it up just like a regular state dinner. They walked through the north portico, they were announced in, we had the table set, we had the butler serve, we had bands playing, but the contest was for healthy and tasty lunches.
Right.
And we served a combination of some of the winners' meals. So, for example, we had a cabbage and turkey meat sloppy joe that was delicious. We had kale chips that one kid created.
I want to tell you something.
They were good. They were good. No. They were rubbing on the kale chips.
A month ago, somebody said to me, I said, well, I'm always hungry. What can I eat? And they said kale chips. And I thought it was a joke. And then I tried them, and it looks like something you'd fish out of the bottom of your lawnmower. You know, where the catches, the clippings, that it gets all... But by God, they're tasty. By God, they're tasty. Hats off to kale chips. We'll be right back with the First Lady, Michelle Obama, ladies and gentlemen.
Signature, wow.
I worry about my abilities as a parent, especially since I'm elderly. And you tell me if I'm right about this or if I'm wrong about it. Thank you. It's a fine line between discipline and patience. A very fine line, a razor's edge. Now, in terms of sporting activities, my son, 8 years old, is low on confidence. And it takes him a while to warm up to sporting activities that he's not familiar with. Now, do I push him, or I just say, that's okay, you can be in the bridge club? I mean, what should I do?
You know, I think at this age, it's important to introduce them to a lot of different things.
Right.
If you have the resources and the opportunity, you know, you just kind of, and I think talking to kids, explaining to them why this stuff is important, you know, letting them know that you're there, and, you know, so I agree. I think it's a little nudging, because here's an example. Malia has been playing tennis since she was little, hated it. She said, I hate this, Mom. And I said, you know, this isn't about learning how to play tennis. It's about learning how to stick with something and to get better. She just made the varsity tennis team at her high school.
Oh, my God.
And she now loves the sport. And she said to me, she said, Mom, I now see why you have me.
That's a great lesson. That's ideal. But let me ask you this: in the beginning of this process, were there fits? Were there crying, running to the room, slamming the door? Any of that?
You know, there's pouting, and it depends on, you know, how determined your kid is to make your life miserable. But, you know, there is that. But you got to be tough.
Yeah, I think my son signed a pledge with Grover Norquist to make my life miserable. Because it's full on, buddy.
You gotta you gotta fight through those moments, because if you start early, kind of sticking to your guns, then when they're 21, trying to stomp off.
I know. It's so yeah. It's
Be tough, Dave.
hard to be tough. But part of my problem with my son is not his problem. He's an only child.
Yeah.
You have a couple of ways to go here, so you can test out some stuff, and then if that works, you slide it down and try it on the next one.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But they're so different, though. I mean, anybody who has more than one kid, this is when you realize these kids come here like they are, right? Because you try one thing on one, it works smooth sailing, and the other one comes in and it's like, it doesn't.
Did you, the Republican convention's concluding they had some trouble with the weather? Did you see any of the convention?
No, first, well, no. Let me start by saying, I, as the wife of the guy they're running against, I tend not to watch it, but I think it's important for everyone to watch these conventions, because this is the time where you get to know the party, you understand the platform, you understand the candidates. This is technically where the campaign begins. So I think it's very important for everyone to watch as much of both conventions as possible to make their decisions. I didn't watch it.
Right.
But
We had, there's a woman on MSNBC named Rachel Maddow, who is the smartest person I know. And she was saying, after having now covered the pre-campaign and the primaries and the campaign and now the conventions, she was saying instead of being exhausted by this, she now finds herself being exhilarated. Is that the same with you, or do you wish the whole mess was over now?
I'm probably one of the rare people I get energized when I'm campaigning, because first of all, people, this country, being out there, touching people, talking to people, it really gets me focused on what we're doing and why we're doing it. Right. So anytime I get tired, and there are definitely times when you get tired, you forget what city you're in, you forget what time of day it is. There are many times I'm like, good morning, or afternoon, I don't know where I am. And people laugh, they give me a break. But being out there really does pump me back up. So I think campaigning is critical.
Is there a noticeable change in the energy somehow in your home because we're right now on the looking at the Democratic convention?
No, I mean, Barack is so, the level-headedness that you see is real, and he doesn't bring any energy. I mean, he doesn't bring that energy home, and we try to keep the home as a place of peace and solace for not just me and the girls, but for him. So
I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but when you got a you'll be making a speech at the Democratic convention.
I'm speaking.
Do you write your own speech?
We work on it together.
Is it all done now?
It's close.
Do you practice it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it 50% committed, 80%? Where do you have it in your head now? I'm still taking it in. So over the next couple of days, I'll just, sort of get the words and understand. Right. It's feeling what I'm saying, not just learning the words. Sure. So I've got to, Now you're no stranger to this. You've done it now, and done it. Do you open with a joke? Do you try to do that?
The convention is one of those things.
Because if you decide on a joke, I'll be happy to email you some.
All right, that's good.
I'll be happy to send you down to the. You know what? How are we doing with I saw where the veterans of Iraq, Afghanistan, their unemployment rates seem to be almost equal to the national unemployment rate. So they're improving. Am I right about that?
It's been a 20% decrease in the unemployment rate within a year.
Yeah, that's remarkable.
Yeah. But as you know, Dave, we have a lot more work to do. I mean, we should not live in a country where we have unemployed veterans, given what they do for this country. But through joining forces, we've seen some phenomenal commitments, and people have surpassed their goals. We had targeted to see 100,000 veterans, military spouses hired by 2013. We met that goal a few weeks ago.
That's amazing. That's tremendous. Congratulations.
It's a testament to, it's really a statement of the commitment of this entire country. I mean, because the truth is that I believe that there are people out there that want to do the right thing by our veterans. And it's just about employers understanding, how do you interpret a military resume? You know, people who have spent an entire career in
that's right. And beyond that, there is the obstacle. It might frighten potential employers. They might think, well, we don't know exactly post-traumatic stress and all.
But it absolutely shouldn't, because the important thing to remember is that 80–90% of veterans do not have post-traumatic stress disorder. We also need to get a better understanding of what that challenge is. And not stigmatize it. But these 2,000 companies are going to be leaders in understanding that these veterans and their spouses are some of the best that this country has to offer. You know, these are people who are operating high-tech equipment. They're going on dangerous missions. They're young. They're leaders.
Sophisticated training is now available to you.
Exactly.
Now, am I right about this? Because like during the Second World War, it was a draft, and people would also volunteer. But if you were drafted into the Army and Armed Forces, you might have been drafted out of a job that would be held for you until you came back. With the volunteer Army, maybe you volunteered because you're between jobs or don't have a job. Is that fundamentally part of or the problem here?
Well, you know, I don't think that's necessarily it. I mean, you do have a large number of reservists that are fighting in this war, which is a challenge. And reservists are people who are, you know, working in communities. They're EMT, they're nurses, they're students, they're mechanics, and, you know, they're enlisted for a period, but they're not, you know, on a base. They're not in combat mode full time, but they are being called up and deployed multiple times, and they're not living in base communities. So this is a new kind of experience, a war that is being fought with so many reservists, and we're still figuring out how to adjust to providing these individuals and their families with the kind of support they need.
That's fantastic. Now, did we talk about kids getting enough exercise? Are they getting enough exercise?
You know,
so
they
you're
can always
improving their diets in school. What do you think a kid needs for exercise?
You know, the studies show that a kid should be getting 60 minutes of exercise a day, and most kids aren't getting that.
Now, do your girls play with video games and Pong and stuff?
They're not as big with the video game stuff.
But they still play.
Yeah, that's always you and me. That was that bloop, bloop, bloop. No, it's a little more sophisticated.
Still playing.
But it's okay. I was going to let you go with that one.
But now, there was a study that this can't. Two schools of thought. Either it's not a problem or it is a problem. Do you think it is a problem?
Physical or
kids spend too much time video games.
Yeah, I do. Because, you know, like you said, when we were growing up, one of the reasons why we were outside all day was because you had like 7 channels, period. Right? And Saturday, you had, you know, that 3 hours of kid TV, and then that was it.
That's right. You were done.
And it was Wild World of Sports, and something else you didn't want to see, right? Sitting with your grandpa, rocking in the chair. You were going to get out. But now kids have TV 24 hours, 360 days. I mean, it's nonstop. And TV is a mesmerizing thing. So that's a different challenge that parents are facing. So I think we have to be more proactive about finding ways to get them.
I agree completely, and I've heard both sides of this, that it may not be anything to worry about. On the other hand, it closes the world of outdoors to kids growing up.
Well, you've got, you know, kids, and you'll talk to some of our generals in the military, and you'll find that kids are coming there because they haven't had PE, they, you know, aren't used to strenuous physical activity. Basic training is more of a challenge. They're seeing higher numbers of stress fractures because you can't just put a 30-pound backpack on a kid that doesn't exercise regularly and send them out for a walk. So it's increasing the time for basic training, just as an example of the changes that they're seeing just in the last 10 years.
How's the dog? Is it Bo?
Bo's good.
Now, when you and the president of the family travel, have you ever thought about strapping Bo on the roof of the car?
Only the best for
is your husband and his people, his staff, were nice enough to put together an anniversary greeting.
Yes,
Is that true?
Yes,
Yeah,
we're
because tomorrow will
celebrating
be
an
our
anniversary.
19th year here in St. Louis. Thank you very much. Oh, that's great. I hope you can join us. Is it a videotape?
The president, yes, he sent a videotape if somebody could show
The
it.
president, the most powerful man in the world.
Took the time.
Take a look. This is pretty exciting.
Hello, Dave. Congratulations on reaching this spectacular milestone. You have made
Every American.
so proud, and most of all, you have
A backbone like a ramrod.
God got the money.
Well, I don't know what to say.
And Joe participated too.
Always good to see Joe. Listen, we think the world of you. All our best to you and your family and your husband. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me, Dave.
This is Obama, ladies and gentlemen.